Here it comes, gonna cheap out the win, oh yeah. Dick lightning, dick lightning. You thought that you could hit him, but he threw a fucking spear. Dick lightning, dick lightning. It's a scream. The chicks will cream for dick lightning. Oh.
Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to 2020. Yes, welcome to a new year. I'm speaking to you from 2020 now. I'm ready for great gameplay streams. I'm ready for hanging out and chilling with you guys. I'm ready for the future.
Me and connected me $1.40 said be more careful. Imagine someone with a virus spits on the ground, your wife steps on it, brings it home, Jasper walks over and jumps on you. Then I'm fucked regardless. There's nothing to do about that. I'm I'm gonna get it no matter what. Whale! Oh, that's cool. The Ziggy Piggy is here. So because of that, we're not going to need any extra time. It's essentially going to take us right up to like 9 p.m. or later, okay? Should be a good time. I hope you guys are ready.
Shut up this dude.
I want to say in advance, thank you for being here and hanging out with me. If you do contribute during the stream, I will try to give you a shout out between the part.
Do you want to play the
countdown
fucking
numbers.
game?
But please, I would ask if you are going to contribute, try not to derail the stream with messages that have absolutely nothing to do with this countdown. I am going to try to stay on topic. If you want to talk about off-topic stuff, please wait till after the countdown is done, and then we can talk all about that stuff, all right? If you are going to contribute tonight, which I would appreciate if you do, please tip me. I really need tips badly. Right now, I need to get through to the middle of the month until Twitch pays me, and your tips are literally the only income I'm going to have to pay stuff. So please tip me if you can. I appreciate all those who do. Thank you in advance. It would be nice to hit the tips goal tonight. When we did that disappointing games countdown, I only raised like 30 bucks. So it would be great if we could hit the tips goal. Maybe even get a vest on for the end of the countdown. That would be interesting, huh? Okay. Now, is everything good? I think everything's in place. Shout out to DJ Atomica 1909 who resubbed for a whopping 46 months. Thank you in advance before we start. When I did the disappointing games countdown, you liked having the PS5 music playing, so I'm just going to keep it playing in the background, okay? Since you guys seem to like that, we'll just go ahead with the same thing, okay? All right, are we ready? Are we ready? All right, let's do this, ladies and gentlemen. I'm going to do a little bit of an intro.
I need that money.
So
I really do. I need that money.
Premise of what we're doing and
bills
everything here, okay? You know, YouTube viewers as well want to listen to All right, here we go. Alrighty, ladies and gentlemen, DSP here, and welcome to my best games of 2020 countdown. Sorry it took a lot longer this year to pump this out than I usually would do it, but the bottom line is there were so many games that came out in 2020 that I actually enjoyed, and there were actually so many games that were good at the end of the year that it took me an extra amount of time to actually make this countdown because I wanted to finish up with some of the ongoing playthroughs that I was doing before I weighed and balanced the games against each other and actually ranked them for this very countdown. So, just to give you a little bit of an idea of what to expect, we have many games that are honorable mentions, games that for one reason or another I felt were not in the top 10 best games of 2020, but I'm going to tell you specifically what I liked about them and maybe the reason why I didn't make my top 10 picks. There's actually a bunch of these, so it's going to take a while to get through those before we actually get to the official top 10.
Are you a functional retard?
Then,
I have to ask.
for the official top 10 games, as usual, I'm going to give you a mini review of why that game was outstanding and how it stood out from the rest of the games of the year. Now, I want to reiterate something that I actually said back in my most disappointing games countdown, excuse me. So you may see some carryovers. There actually might have been some games in my most disappointing games countdown that you're going to see tonight in the best games countdown. Why? Because a disappointing game doesn't necessarily mean it's a bad game. Even if there's games that I didn't think were the best they obviously could be, they still might have been among some of the best games of the year, and I'm going to call those games out and give them a fair shake because I don't want them to go ignored or unnoticed or act like I'm biased in the way that I actually judge how good games are just because I personally didn't like one little thing about the game. You know, subjectivity is optional, right? If there's games that commonly people really like, chances are there's something good about them. Even if I didn't love them, I'm still going to give them credit for credit. Fair enough? So I hope you understand that. And if people, oh my God, why is there something that was in a bad list on the good list? Because the world's not black and white. That's not how it works. Something might have been disappointing to me, but I still really liked it and I'll admit that it's one of the better games. Okay? Fair enough? Alright, thank you, Elon on Wheels for the cheer. Let us now begin with their countdown of the best games of 2020. We're going to start with honorable mentions. Again, these are games that, for some reason or another, did not make it to my official top 10 games of the year, and I'm going to tell you specifically why. Alright? We start with honorable mention, Fall Guys. Yes, a game that literally came out of nowhere in the summer of 2020. A game that I probably never would have played if it weren't for free on PS Plus. But, admittedly, this game actually was super duper fun during a time period when there weren't a ton of game releases and during a year where COVID basically screwed up all the game release schedules. If everything had been normal, maybe Fall Guys never would have ever been noticed, nor ever got any traction. But undoubtedly, the summer of 2020 was dominated by people playing Fall Guys, and this game basically going viral on the internet. Now, this is a game where you basically are doing a most extreme elimination style challenge. You're doing different kinds of physical mini stages. Sometimes you're trying to dodge obstacles. Sometimes you're trying to guess what gate is real. And you're competing against people on the internet at all times. It's not a single player game at all. It's all about online competition and ranking and points to get to the end and grab a crown. When you grab a crown, you earn points which then you can use to buy new outfits for your characters. It's a very addictive game, even though there really are no real life prizes, and even though it's not necessarily the most fair competitive game, it is incredibly fun to just jump in and out of Fall Guys. The cool thing about Fall Guys is it was free for PS Plus subscribers, so you didn't have to pay any additional money if you had a PlayStation Online account. You were just able to play this game and enjoy it. And it really worked out well. They started having tie-ins with various other video game franchises and pop culture things, and it got very popular for about 2 to 2.5 months there. It's kind of funny the way that it all worked out. I never heard of the game. I wasn't going to play it, and then people urged me to try it when it became free for PS Plus, and I said, all right, fine, I'll give it a shot. And I got hooked on it. Like, I really enjoyed it. I thought that this game was very, very fun. Now, why is this only an honorable mention? There's 2 reasons. The first reason is because, excuse me, the game had limited content at launch. You know, you could probably play this game for on and off, maybe a week, maybe 2 weeks, and then eventually you're just going to start to get bored of it because they didn't really have a lot of content at first. It was maybe, 10 stages or something like that. Needless to say, they were fun, but you want more content than that. And then the game developers did kind of an interim update where they decided to release a few more updates and stages and remix the stages to make them harder, which was nice of them. And then they had a Season 2. And honestly, I'd say probably around the Season 2 was where the game didn't really shine anymore. When Season 2 released, which was essentially after July, August into September, I think it was like late September, something like that, there just wasn't much content added to it. They added maybe 2 new stages that were medieval themed, but outside of that, most of the stages remained the same or just slightly tweaked. It just wasn't enough content to hold over gamers, and gamers moved on to the next viral sensation, Among Us, and basically this game was almost all but forgotten. This was the #1 game people were talking about on social media and was just super hyped, and like overnight, because the Season 2 update wasn't very interesting, this game lost tons of traction. Everyone just kind of forgot about it, which is very, very unfortunate because it was a game that had potential to grow pretty much infinitely as long as they just kept adding content, and they just didn't do it quickly enough. They just released Season 3 back in December. I played it and got bored within an hour. I just didn't want to play it anymore because, again, most of the stages are almost the same. You can only do so much with the same stages over and over. So, Fall Guys, a great game, a fun game, certainly an original game, and it was awesome that if you had PlayStation Plus, it was free. Sadly, it's one of those flash-in-the-pan hits that was only popular really during the summer of 2020, and give it a few more months, and I don't know if anyone will even talk about this game anymore, which is sad, but Fall Guys undoubtedly was one of the best games of this last year, but being that it did only have flash-in-the-pan success, I can only give it an honorable mention. Alrighty then. Alright, ladies and gentlemen, it's on to the next honorable mention for the best games of 2020. Are you ready? Without further ado, here we go. The next honorable mention is Spider-Man Miles Morales for the PlayStation 5. Spider-Man Miles Morales is a standalone expansion to 2018's Marvel Spider-Man for the PlayStation 4. It is an exceptionally good game. It is a game that actually showcases the capabilities of the PlayStation 5 in an incredibly great way. Full 60 frames per second web swinging through New York City, having ray tracing. You know, that graphical capability, I mean, it's unheard of on consoles, and having it pretty much, right from the get-go. Having a lot of enemies on the screen at once, and the frame rate never really dipping. It had an original story, a new cast of characters different from the cast from the original Spider-Man game. I really enjoyed Spider-Man Miles Morales. I even really liked, if you take a look at the environments, how it took place in winter with snow, and it was like a Christmas kind of theme. When the game came out right before Christmas, so it kind of went right in line with the holiday season. I was like, man, this is like the perfect time for this game to come out and to play it. Also, the fact it was not a full-priced game, because it shouldn't have been. It certainly didn't have as much content as the original Marvel Spider-Man. But it was a really fun romp for as long as it lasted. However, there's a strong reason why Spider-Man Miles Morales is not officially in my top 10 favorite games of the year. Because it's basically the same game as Marvel Spider-Man. Even though it kind of improves upon it in certain ways, and even though it has better graphics, and it has a few more odds and ends added to the combat. Once you get maybe 2-3 hours into it, you realize it really is almost identical to Marvel Spider-Man from 2 years ago. And if they didn't really do much to innovate and make it new, it's hard for me to say, oh, wow, this is one of the best games of the year. I think it's a great highlight of what the PlayStation 5 can do. And if anything, if you have a PlayStation 5 and you didn't play this game yet, and you're looking for a great action-adventure game, you probably want to give it a look, especially because it is one of the best running games on PS5 right now. But outside of that, it really is Marvel Spider-Man all over again, with very little innovation. You'll go through New York City doing repetitive missions, taking out bases, stopping crimes, and every once in a while you gotta grab a collectible or the like. You see what I'm saying? It's pretty much identical. And because of that, I can't say, oh, it was outstanding and blew me away, best game of the year. But I can definitely say it was a great game that needs a mention, especially if you have a PS5. I feel it's a must-play. Okay? Fair enough. If I can get that off the screen now. All right. 2 down, many more to go. People are loving my hairstyle. It's going crazy because I just got out of the shower, and that's perfectly fine. I'm glad you guys are enjoying the poofiness. All right. Moving on. The next honorable mention, the best games of 2020, is Assassin's Creed Valhalla. That is right. The latest installment of Assassin's Creed takes place during Viking times, much like the last one took place during, you know, Greek mythology, and the one before that was Egyptian. This one goes to Norse mythology, and it's an interesting and fun game. I do like the character of Ivor. I like the idea that you're a Viking in a new land. You're displaced from where you came from, or Scandinavia or whatever. You go to England. You're trying to make a foothold. You're exploring. You're getting allies. I like the idea of raids and taking over bases. It's really cool to take battering rams and knock down the front gates of big fortresses. And I definitely enjoy the combat. Even though the combat is absolutely nothing like we've come to expect from Assassin's Creed, because Assassin's Creed, let's face it, this game is Assassin's Creed in name only. This franchise has gone so far off the rails of what you would expect in an assassination franchise. I don't know why they call it Assassin's Creed, except that they claim it's still in the main plot line of the games. But the combat's crazy. Being able to dual wield all different kinds of weapons, having all these various combat abilities that can make you crazy overpowered. You can be a crazy melee attacker, you can do ranged attacks, poison, all kinds of stuff. It definitely is the most versatile combat engine ever in an Assassin's Creed game. Alright? Unparalleled amount of content. The map is huge. There's so much side content to do in this game. The environments are absolutely breathtakingly beautiful, especially on the PlayStation 5. When I started playing this on PS4 Pro, I thought it looked good. When I started playing it on PS5, I was blown away. It's full 60 frames with that level of detail. They did a great job with that, okay? But there's 2 major reasons why I feel Assassin's Creed Valhalla just doesn't deserve top 10 games of the year. But there's also other reasons outside of those 2 major reasons. All right, let's just go through the things that I think are a little bit annoying about the game. First of all, yes, it's pretty similar to Assassin's Creed Origins and Odyssey. They really did not go try to innovate much at all. It's the same premise. It's an open world. You explore. You're looking for targets. You got story missions to do. You got side content to do. You got collectibles to grab. The only real thing a little different is that you have a home base that you're trying to upgrade over the course of the game, and the combat definitely has been refined. But it's definitely the same style of game. There's no real difference, all right? It's pretty much exactly the same as what you would have expected from Assassin's Creed. So because it doesn't really innovate that much, it's hard to say that the 3rd iteration of a game like this is too original, because it's just not. In addition to that, the game is so effing long, all right? I started playing this game on release day in early November, and I knew that with all the new releases that were coming out to pair up with the release of PlayStation 5, there was no way I was going to be able to play this consistently. So I played it on and off for about a month, and then I brought it back as a major playthrough. I am now at 70 hours into the game, and I still have multiple regions of the map that I need to take over. And by the way, outside of one major side quest line, which is kind of a cool quest line where you go to Asgard, which is really neat. I won't spoil too much about it for those who haven't played the game, but it's kind of a really interesting what-if plot line. Outside of that, it's all going around conquering areas, and each area has its own little mini story, and some of them are good and some of them aren't so good. I would say the writing varies from pretty great to meh, kind of mediocre. There's just too much content in the game. There's this quantity versus quality, and when you have quantity over quality, that's not a good thing. I definitely feel that because there's so much content in the game of taking over the regions of England, that sadly it gets lost. It feels so watered down, it feels so repetitive, and the pacing of the game is completely destroyed by the fact that you never feel like you're making progress because the game is so long, it doesn't feel like anything you do is meaningful. I just played for 10 hours and I don't feel like I did a damn thing to advance the plot of the game. And that's basically the bottom line with Assassin's Creed Valhalla. It's a game that's so long that you actually don't feel like you're getting meaningful progress at any point. And the funny point about this, I haven't beaten it yet. I've been playing it hardcore for a month now as a major gameplay stream game, and I'm still 70 plus hours in and I still haven't beaten it. That's ridiculous, you know? Like, I understand. They want to put out games for Assassin's Creed that they feel like they're giving you an insane gameplay experience. That's great, but then what they really need to do is they need to innovate. Make it feel like every moment that you're playing the game, there's something interesting or different happening. It's not the case with this game. In this game, it just feels like you're doing the same thing over and over and over and over. And it just gets repetitive and boring. You know, I'm a fan of Assassin's Creed. I'm 70 hours in. I just want it to end. My wife is a bigger fan of Assassin's Creed than me. She's about 60 hours in. She just wants it to end. We're both the same mentality that this, you know, even if you're a huge fan, at some point, you're going to feel like, man, when does a story ever happen? You know, like, when do we get any resolution to what the hell is going on? So, it's a great game, but just because the pacing is off and because it does feel too much like the previous games, I, in right mind, couldn't put this in my top 10 games of the year. By the way, I haven't even been able to finish it. So without finishing it, I really wouldn't feel safe about putting it into my top 10 games of the year. Okay? However, it is still a great game, and it definitely deserved to be shouted out and get a mention here. Okay? Alright. Let's see here. System Error 20 resubscribed to the channel. So congratulations to System Error. Thank you for the resub. I appreciate that. Elon on Wheels, I forgot to put him up as the top cheerer, so I'll do that very quickly. And then we will continue on with the countdown. Was it 50 bits? Okay. Very good. Alright, continuing on with the honorable mentions. As you can tell, this is going to be a long countdown. I've got 3 honorable mentions in. We haven't even made it to the top 10 games yet. Okay? The next honorable mention for the best games of 2020 is Paper Mario and the Origami King. Now, admittedly, when I played this game, I didn't know what to expect because I never fully played a Paper Mario game before. I had only played one, Paper Mario and the Thousand Year Door. That was a very long time ago on GameCube. Okay? I really liked Paper Mario and the Origami King. I actually felt that this game was something unique and different. It certainly was not a Mario game. It doesn't play like a Mario game. It doesn't feel like a Mario game. A lot of ways it feels closer to, say, Super Mario RPG, but the combat, every single piece of combat in the game is basically a mini puzzle. I enjoyed the difference between the worlds of the game. I liked the open world aspect of it, that you could wander around and explore, try to find hidden items, hidden toads that were kind of, you know, trapped throughout the game world. Some of the bosses were quite interesting, although most of them were quite odd that they were all like office equipment. But the game was pretty original. I would say out of all the games I played in 2020, this game kind of sticks out in my mind because it was just so different. Mario in this weird world of, you know, paper. And it's just so odd to me that, you know, origami is kind of the main focus. Office tools is the main focus. There were light to dark elements. There were cool puzzle elements, you know, fire, ice elements. All these different cool paper elements. I really enjoyed it. Cameo appearances from characters like Bowser and stuff. Really neat. I had a great time with the game. If anything, out of this game, again, one of the complaints I have, I do feel the game's pacing was too slow, and the game was kind of long. For a game like this, you would expect it, oh, maybe it's 20 hours long. No, this game was like more than 40 hours long. It took like a long time to get through this game. I really enjoyed it, don't get me wrong. I enjoyed playing it, but certainly by the time that I was getting to the end of it, it felt like, man, I wish this game would just end, and then eventually we did finish it. So the pacing leaves something to be desired, but outside of that, I really did enjoy the game. I felt that it was a unique and different experience. I apologize I couldn't get a clip that was like good combat. I wanted to get something that showcased like some of the unique stuff of the game. Like, look, there's a paper desert, right? But it looks like it's just dialogue here in this video, so I guess I picked a shitty one. But anyway, it was good stuff. It was absolutely good stuff. I enjoyed the game. Sadly, not a lot of people did because they said, oh, it's a JRPG. And you're right. It was kind of a lengthy JRPG-style game with action-based combat, but I enjoyed it. And if you did look at Paper Mario Origami King, here's the thing. I don't have a frame of reference to compare this game to. I don't. I never played or gave any significant amount of playtime to the previous Paper Mario game. So I think that I may have actually enjoyed this game more than others. I do. I think I enjoyed it a lot more than other people. Because a lot of people were criticizing the game during my playthrough and saying, oh, it's nowhere near as good as the previous Paper Mario games. Well, I didn't have that frame of reference. So for me, I actually really enjoyed the playthrough. While people were like, you don't know, you don't understand because you didn't play the better games. So you don't know why we're disappointed in it, you see? So I get it, okay? I get it. I didn't understand. I didn't have that frame of reference. But for me to play this being my first Paper Mario game, I actually really enjoyed it, and I thought that it was worth mentioning. However, admittedly, compared to the other games that did make my top 10, this was not as good as those in my opinion. So it didn't make the top 10, but I wanted to give it an honorable mention. So there you go. Paper Mario and the Origami King. A good game on the Switch from 2020. You should give it a look if you haven't yet, and if you like that style of game. All right. I received a $1 tip from Canbar2. It says, big ups, Phil. Thank you, Canbar, for the first tip of the night. Let's get that up on the leaderboard, and then we will continue on with the countdown. Very nice. Our first tip of the night. Thank you very much, Canbar. Appreciate that. Okay. All right. Continuing on. We're 20 minutes into the countdown, and we haven't even got to the top 10 yet. I knew this countdown was going to be lengthy. The next honorable mention. The best games of 2020 countdown is Nioh 2. Yes, ladies and gentlemen, Nioh 2, a game that most people forgot even came out in 2020. At one point, I actually forgot this game came out in 2020. I wasn't going to put this in the countdown, and then I started going back and looking through the playlist. I was like, crap, this actually came out in 20, like, holy shit. Wow. All right, Nioh 2. Yes, it's a Dark Souls style game. Yes, it's a game that's a sequel to a game that was from a few years ago, and it's very similar to the first game. Admittedly, I will admit all of those things. But Nioh 2 had beautiful graphics. Nioh 2 had incredibly responsive controls. Nioh 2 actually improved upon the combat engine of the first game in a significant way. You could basically do this pattern of gameplay building up a stun meter against an enemy. When the enemy gets stunned, you could transform into a giant creature or spirit monster, do a large combo on said enemy, dealing tons of damage, then transforming back into your normal self to do special abilities to try to build up the stun meter again. If you played the game in this unique manner that was not really present in the original game, you could actually topple large bosses and actually really challenging things in the game with relative ease. If you mastered the combat engine, this game was fluid and beautiful. And I really liked that about the game. You could play it like Dark Souls, or you could try to play it via its own unique methods, and it had a lot of unique things about it. I definitely thought that the graphics were better this time around. I thought that the graphics of Nioh 1 were nice, but this time around they actually refined upon those and made it even better. Seriously, I had a lot of fun with this game. Very lengthy as well. Playthrough was incredibly long. If I actually look at the games that I played on Twitch in the year of 2020, I think this ranked like second or third as the longest playthroughs that I did in 2020. The game had that much content. Now, you didn't have to do all that content, but if you actually went through with all the side missions and everything, there were secret super bosses and stuff that you could fight that would add to the length of your gameplay experience and actually was pretty fun and meaningful. So you might be saying, if Phil, you're like basically saying everything about this game is great. Like, what was so bad about the game that you didn't make it in your top 10 games? A few things. First of all, early game, much like Nioh 1, early game is tough. Until you're able to play maybe 10, 15 hours of the game and you start really building up your class to be exactly how you want it to be, it's rough. You have such basic abilities and weapons that aren't really leveled and stuff. It's just hard to survive in the first 10 to 15 hours of the game. It's really frustrating. Once you get past that, you hit your stride, and now you enjoy the game a lot more. But for me, it should have been more well-paced and balanced. It shouldn't be, oh my god, it's like torture for the first 15 hours, and then things get good. It should be somewhat enjoyable at all times. I actually felt the beginning of the game was way less enjoyable than the rest of the game. I didn't feel there was enough innovation in the combat engine, even though, as you can see here, one of the new weapons I used during the playthrough was the scythe, which I really enjoyed. I forget if it was actually called the scythe or the sickle, because it kind of looks like both. I think that's a scythe, though. But I really enjoyed that new weapon, and actually, it transforms. You can do combos where you're transforming that weapon into different things. That's really neat, kind of like Bloodborne. And I actually enjoyed the transformation of the weapons during the combat. But outside of the scythe and maybe like one or two other new weapons, it's almost identical to the first game. And like I said, the only other real new things they added to the combat was the spirit transformations, where it did this kind of this pattern where you build up the stun, spirit transformation, deal a lot of damage, build up your meter, do a magic attack or whatever. Oh, build it up again, spirit transformation. It was kind of like this pattern that you would do in order to progress in the game and succeed. But that was it. Like, there really wasn't much else innovation. It really just felt like more, to me, the game felt like more like Nioh 1.5 than Nioh 2. Now, of course, there's a saying, if it ain't broke, don't fix it. Maybe if they had completely gone off the rails here and did something completely different than the first game, maybe a lot of people would have complained and not enjoyed it as much. But for me, I probably would have enjoyed if they did things a little bit differently. It just felt a lot like the same game with a few examples and maybe, like I said, a new weapon or two, and that was about it. So all that being said, Nioh 2 had great graphics, great combat, a lot of content, but little too similar to the first game for me to really make it my top 10 games of the year. But I still had a great time with it, and I hope you guys enjoyed the playthrough. All right. Ladies and gentlemen, we have one more honorable mention, and then we will get to the top 10 games, I promise you. But first, we've got some shout-outs. So, first of all, Local Nomad subscribed to the channel for 3 months in a row, 5 total. Thank you, Local Nomad, for the resub and the ongoing support. I appreciate that. Total Scorn resubscribed for 2 months. And what will I get? The Xbox X and S. Seems like it's not as popular as PS5. You can't get it. It's still, even though it's not as popular, it still gets back ordered constantly, and the scalpers steal them once they're readily available later in the year, and once there's actually games to play on the thing, I'll probably get one. Shout out to Benzuko Lives, who tipped me $5, and that is the biggest tip of the night. So let's get Benzuko up there on the leaderboard and add that to the overall count. Thank you, Benzuko, for the contribution. Let's see here. Death of a Vest Street Cheers. Can I do mixed bag games of 2020? Let me think about that for a second.
I love.
No, I'm not doing mixed bag games of 2020. Stop derailing my countdown. Deadly Feet has done 100-bit cheer. Thank you to Deadly Feet for the 100-bit cheer. I appreciate that. That is the biggest cheer of the night. So let's get Deadly Feet up on the leaderboard. What a name. Dudetron tipped me $1. It says, is this enough for the vest? Indeed it is not, but I still appreciate the $1 tip, so thank you. Jiden did 100-bit cheers, and me and my boyfriend are big fans, and we enjoy your YouTube content for years. Can we get a shout-out? Sure. Shout-out, Jiden and your boyfriend. Thanks for the support. Welcome to the stream. Okay. I got another tip, but I'm not sure if it's legit or not. So what I'll do is while my PayPal loads and I can verify the tip, we will do the final honorable mention game. How does that sound? That way we don't hold up the countdown too much. All right. Back to the countdown. Ladies and gentlemen, the final honorable mention game of 2020 is Immortals Phoenix Rising. I actually really like this game. This game came out at the very end of the year. That first week of December, the same week that Cyberpunk 2077 came out. And because of the timing of the release of this game, sadly, a lot of people didn't hear about it and never played it. I currently just started playing the game, and I really enjoy it. I think I've played it for like 2-3 weeks now, and I've only been playing it on and off. Just recently, I started doing it as main gameplay streams. This game is growing on me the more I play it. The game has complex combat with a lot of abilities that you can unlock that make the combat more interesting than just button mashing. The game has interesting traversal mechanics with the flight, the wings of Icarus that allow you to hover around. As you can see right from this video, very interesting puzzles and things that are very fun and allow you to earn upgrades. There's a variety of enemies in the game that get progressively harder the further you play in, and abilities that allow you to do combat things better the further you get into the game. Oh, there's a flying enemy, really annoying in the beginning of the game to hit those. Well, you get an ability to zip line up and do air combos on them. Later on, you get the ability to actually pull them out of the sky and slam them to the ground. Really cool. Big boss fights. It's got puzzles similar to Breath of the Wild, and I really like that because we haven't had a game with a lot of puzzles in a long time. And I definitely think this game does a good variety of puzzles. Some of them are simple slide puzzles like this. Some of them are puzzles where you have to figure out, I gotta put a block on a switch to open a door over here, and then you have to traverse this area and do a time challenge, like hit a switch and run from here to there within a certain amount of time, or do a gliding challenge, get from here to there flying around in a certain amount of time to get upgrade things. Pretty good. Also, the writing of the game is funny. Unlike all these other games that recently have tried to be so serious and over dramatic, this game takes itself very unseriously. It just basically jokes around constantly. The writing is a bunch of funny stuff, silly stuff, and although there's some cheesy puns in there that are a little bit cringeworthy, outside of that, I feel that the game is very fun to play. The game also is very lengthy. For those who don't know, I've already played, I believe it's around 20 to 30 hours, and I'm nowhere near the end of the game. I'm about halfway through. So it seems like if you do all this stuff in the game, it takes a long time to do it. Much like other Ubisoft games, yes, it is chock full of open world exploration. You can argue maybe the game takes too long to beat because there's so much content, just like Assassin's Creed Valhalla, okay? But I'm actually disappointed, and here's why I'm disappointed. I started playing this game like a month later. I honestly wish I had played this game instead of Cyberpunk, because I feel if I had played this game and finished it in time to do my Game of the Year awards, I might have actually ranked this in my top 10 games of the year. But because I started it so late, I'm just about halfway through it, and I don't feel comfortable ranking this among the best games of 2020 when I haven't seen the entirety of the game. It's entirely feasible that the second half of the game gets too difficult or too repetitive or boring, and it's not a great game for the second half. And then if that's the case, I definitely wouldn't want to rank it among my best games of last year. But for what I've played so far, I'm impressed. I really like the game, and I'll recommend it to you guys. By the way, it's discounted everywhere because this game came out the same week as Cyberpunk. So few people bought it, they had to discount the game within a month to try to get anyone to buy it. So I got it for $40 digitally. Apparently you can get it for as low as $20 to $25 physically online. Go for it. It's worth it, I'm telling you. Especially if you like a game with a lot of traversal, puzzles, combat. You're really going to like this game. And especially humor, tongue-in-cheek humor with a lot of silly writing and stuff. It's well done. It really is a well done game, and I'm sad that it didn't really get the attention that maybe it deserved because of the timing of its release. If this game had come out in the summer of 2020, probably would have been a bestseller and one of the best games of the year. But it came out with some of the worst timing right after the console releases and during the release window of Cyberpunk. That was a bad look. Okay. So, ladies and gentlemen, finally we've gotten through the honorable mentions and we can get to the real top 10 games of 2020. It only took a half an hour, but I knew it was going to take that long. Okay, now, let's do some more shout-outs, because like I said, I was actually going to verify a tip here and didn't get a chance to. Let's see here. Alright, I received a tip from Duplessis, who tipped me $20. And Duplessis says, I've been a fan since your Bioshock days. I mainly catch up with your content through YouTube. Says I can't catch the streams as much. Keep proving the haters wrong, excuse me. And continue doing what you love for a living. Duplessis, thank you very much for the tip. Just so you know, your PayPal account does show as registered, but it's unverified. But I'm going to give you the benefit of the doubt because I see that you are a supporter. And I appreciate your tip. You're the biggest tipper of the night. Let's get that up on the leaderboard. I would ask if you are going to continue to contribute in the future, please follow through with that verification of your PayPal account so I know that your contributions are legit, okay? And thank you very much. There we go. $27 tips so far tonight, my friends. All right. Also, let's see here. Death of a Streak says, gee, what time will you announce Bugsnax as #1? Well, if you can't be here for the stream to see it live, watch it on demand on YouTube. Did I just spoil? Did I spoil? Say that out loud, did I? Alright, thank you for the cheer. But yeah, if you can't watch this live, of course you can watch it on demand on DSP Gaming on YouTube whenever you get a chance. Okay? OGX Focal did a 245-bit cheer, which is the biggest cheer of the night. And he says, I want maximum positivity from everyone. It's awards night, damn it. Damn straight. People should be happy that it's awards night and some fun stuff is going on here on the stream. It's not just raw gameplay for a damn change. Thank you for the cheer, OGX Focal. I appreciate that. Alright. Are you guys ready to continue on with the countdown? I hope so. Okay, now we're going to get to the actual top 10 games of the year. Ready? Alright. Ladies and gentlemen, as I stated, you're going to see some carryover between my most disappointing games and my best games of the year. Alright? My number 10 best game of 2020 is The Last of Us 2. Now, you all know my very, very, very strong criticisms of this game, alright? But, you know that my very strong criticisms of this game are primarily the story. The story I hate. But, if you just took the story out of the game, and you actually look at everything else on a fair, objective scale, alright? The gameplay that was dramatically improved from the first game, adding things like climbing and traversal, growing under things with crawling, the characters that actually act like real life humans having conversations when they're out there sneaking around and trying to protect each other. And when you kill one of them, the other one reacts very realistically and makes you kind of creeped out that you actually killed someone. It makes you feel like they're real. As you can see here, the graphics of the game, absolutely, wait a minute. Who's that? That asshole above me. He's trying to just fuck her out of here. Anyway, the graphics of the game, gorgeous, especially because this is PS4, not PS5. For the PlayStation 4, looks absolutely breathtaking, some of the graphics in this game. The level design, very well done. I really enjoyed all the different world design and levels of The Last of Us 2. In particular, when you finally get to Seattle, and you're actually going through downtown Seattle, and you're doing things such as going through a video arcade that actually really exists in Seattle because I've been there, or going down to the waterfront and there's the giant wheel and the aquarium that are really in Seattle. Those things are all very neat. Yeah, and then of course, I'll also say this. Even though I hated the story of the game, you want to know what I really liked about the game? Segments like we're looking at right now. Because a segment like this didn't have to be in the game, and what this is a throwback to the relationship of Ellie and Joel, the thing that made the first game good. And actually getting more of that in the game, even though you knew that wasn't the focus of the game and that was kind of torn away from you because of the plot of the game that I didn't like. I enjoyed the moments where they still got to spend time together. And there's 3 major segments of the game where that happens. You get these interesting flashbacks. And I really appreciated those. Because it actually made me feel like there was a ray of hope or a moment of fun and goodness. And just, it felt like you were playing the first game again. And that's what I liked most about the game when it came to story, is that you had those connections between Joel and Ellie that were present in the first game that were taken away from you for most of the plot of the second game. I also have to say, ladies and gentlemen, this game has to be given so many kudos for being the most accessible AAA game ever made in history. All right, there is not another AAA video game on planet Earth that had the amount of accessibility options as this game. All right, I was blown away. The colorblind options, the options for the hearing impaired. If you're blind, this game has a full-blown sonar mode that allows you to hear objects in the game, and people actually, like Super Blind Man, a longtime viewer and supporter of mine, played this game from start to finish on the hardest difficulty and beat it, and he can't see anything. That's crazy to me. That's just like, wow, they actually went the extra mile. They cared about every single person who wanted to play their game and wanted to make sure that it was accessible to everybody. They did an outstanding job in that regard, and if anything in this game stands out, that should be the thing that's most applauded. And I feel that this being the best in class, most accessible game of all time for AAA games, this game should be the poster child for what should be done with AAA games in the future if they actually care about appealing to a wide audience. All AAA games with ginormous budgets should have accessibility features. It's just that simple. And if they don't have it, that's fucking lazy. This game showed how to do it right, and everyone else should be taking this as the example. They should be using the people who worked on this game as consultants on future games. There's just no excuse anymore to have games that aren't accessible, okay? So, this game has a lot to praise. Again, the graphics, the gameplay improvements, the world design. Oh, I didn't even mention the voice acting. Of course, they got an all-star cast of voice actors who did an insane job. I know that they did the mocap, right? The mocap is top-notch. If you like the story of this game, it's probably your favorite game of the year. And I can understand why a lot of people said this is their favorite game of 2020. Not me. For me, sadly, the story was so poorly written, poorly paced, and just such a primitive, underdeveloped story. A story that went against everything we learned about these characters from the first game and flipped it on its head so that it could have a narrative pushed down your throat. I didn't like the game overall. But I can tell you, I can understand why someone did, and I'm not going to hate on someone for liking the game. I'm also not going to say, oh, there's no way this is one of the best games of the year. It is. No matter what. Even if you hated the story of The Last of Us 2, it's still one of the best games of 2020. You can't deny it. It has all the things you look for on a checklist of a great game, except, oh, I didn't like the story. That still doesn't mean you negate all the other great things about the game, all right? I like the game. Overall, I think it was well developed, well done. By the way, in a year when we had game after game come out completely unfinished, unpolished, and buggy as fuck, this game was supremely polished and didn't have those kind of issues at all. You could tell the attention to detail, the care, the development was put into it, okay? I don't like Neil Druckmann, but he did a lot of things right on this game, and it should be respected. And I made it my number 10 game just for on those laurels alone. Even though I hate the story, still one of the best games of 2020. Alrighty then. Just being fair and just being honest. I can't lie. The game's good. Okay? Alright. Continuing on here. Alright, Death of a Vestry, thanks for the cheers. But I'm not going to be derailing the stream with your nonsense here. We're going to continue on with the countdown. Okay? Alright. The number 9 pick for the best game of 2020 is the Final Fantasy VII Remake. Alright? I didn't love this game as much as other people. I even went as far to say during my playthrough of this game, I actually liked the original Final Fantasy VII better. Because I actually felt the original Final Fantasy VII was a more robust game. Because it had more locations, more to the story. And I actually felt I liked the actual combat of Final Fantasy VII, the original, better than the more action-based combat engine that they put into the remake. They really wanted to cater to the more modern audience. They didn't want it to have older style gameplay. I guess they felt if it was turn-based, people would be turned off to it. I think it would have been fine, but it is what it is. That's just my personal take. Someone who grew up playing turn-based RPGs. But undoubtedly, take a look at this game. It's gorgeous, man. They took a lot of time developing this game. It's absolutely drop-dead gorgeous, taking those environments from the original PlayStation 1 game and turning it into a true next-gen experience. Voice acting's outstanding. The music, oh my god, taking those songs from the original Final Fantasy VII and remixing them to be these awesome masterpieces of the modern age. Like, the music is outstanding. And what I really like about this game is that they take a lot of characters who were completely underdeveloped in the original Final Fantasy VII, and they finally fleshed them out. They made them feel, instead of like very, very 2D paper characters that really don't stand up to any kind of test of realism, the characters now actually have motivations, they have personalities, they make sense. It's not just a character that's wedged in there. For example, Barrett is way better in this game. He is. He's just a way better character. He gets all these cool things and side missions and things, and that he get to flesh out his character a little bit more. Well, in the original, I didn't feel he was a very good character at all. I felt he was very one-dimensional. So, I definitely like Final Fantasy VII Remake. Now, is it one of my favorite games of the year compared to a lot of the other games? No, I think that it was a good game, but I do think that sadly, two things held it back. The first is, yeah, I do feel that because the game only deals with the early part of the storyline of Final Fantasy VII, that it doesn't feel like a complete experience. It actually feels like an unfinished game, because in reality it is. The game ends on an insane cliffhanger, where you're like, what just happened? Because the game is not what they sold it as. Again, I have to say the same things I said in my most disappointing countdown. It's not a remake. They didn't just take the plot of the first game and remake it with modern graphics and gameplay. They changed the plot. They changed so many things about it. The ending isn't even an ending. It's just, oh, cliffhanger. Hoping we make another one, guys. Hope this game does well so we make another one, because or else you get no resolution out of anything. And that's kind of lame. Like, what? Really? Yeah. And that's kind of silly. I feel that they should have, if they were going to make a remake the real game. Because if they remade the real game, then, you know, maybe we would have a better, more robust story. Instead, it feels like you're spending 40 hours or whatever, 30 hours in a part that could be beaten 8 hours. It just feels like you're in Midgar way too fucking long, and that you should be moving on to bigger and better things, which, by the way, if you play the real game, you do. And in this game, you never get to. So, I definitely, I enjoyed the game. Again, I can't deny a game like this. Look how good it looks. It plays well. I liked the fleshing out of the characters, the side missions, but at the same time, it just felt underwhelming to me. Like, I felt like it should have been better, or it could have been better, if they weren't stuck in Midgar the whole fucking game, and if they didn't go somewhere completely different with the plot of the game than the original. Okay? Alrighty then. That's why it's number 9, by the way. If I had loved the game, it would have been probably top 5, but it's number 9. Best game of the year. Didn't Star Rune Cheers says, are you sure this is your top 10 best list and not your mixed bag list? You understand that you can have a game that's a mixed bag, but the positive side is more than the negative, and therefore it's a good game. You understand that, right? A mixed bag doesn't mean a 50-50 mix. Again, why do people think things are so fucking simple and black and white? It's not. The world is not black and white. It's not. Okay, continuing on. My number 8 best game of 2020 is Call of Duty Black Ops Cold War. Yes, it actually ranked in my top games of the year. I'm shocked as much as you that I like this game so much, because I have not played a competitive first-person shooter at any length for like 5+ years. I think the last one that I actually liked a ton was like Battlefield 4, and before then maybe like an older Black Ops game, right? Like, it's been a long time since I actually played a Call of Duty game that I wanted to continuously play and get better at and just keep playing because I got hooked on the gameplay. Black Ops Cold War is that game. I don't, it's probably because a few things. Number one, they finally got rid of the operator bullshit. I don't like having a specialty class of character that has some special magic ability. Oh, I have a magic wall that I pull out of my ass. And I put it down, and now it's this radiation bullshit that shouldn't be in a first-person shooter. And now you can't get through this doorway. It's like, what is this? Oh, I just pull out a fucking grenade launcher and just kill everyone in the room just because I have... What is this bullshit, right? Like, I always hated that about what they did with Black Ops 3 and 4, and they took that out of the game. In addition, no wall running, no double jumping. All the bullshit that made it not feel like a military shooter was removed from the game. Now, don't get me wrong. There's still fucking bullshit. There's still quick scoping, and there's still issues with snipers having advantageous position and getting shots off they should not get. Oh, yeah. I saw a sniper. I shot him in the face 10 times. On the 11th shot that would have killed him, he gets a sniper shot off that kills me instantly. Yes, because in real life, when you get hit with 10 bullets, you can get a perfect sniper shot off, right? It's like, there's stuff like that that they're never going to fix because, let's face it, they have taken Call of Duty, and they took it from a franchise that originally, if you were there from the beginning of Call of Duty like I was, they were military shooters. Call of Duty 1 and 2 were meant to be actual military shooters. Yes, they were a little bit arcadey, but they were meant to emulate how an actual gun would operate in World War II, etc. Then when they went to Modern Warfare, they added in modern weaponry, modern guns, UAVs, and all of that. And it became way and way more complex, okay? But at least at that point, it was kind of realistic, all right? If these things really existed, a lot of the things in that game did really exist at the time, it was kind of realistic, all right? When they started getting into, like, the later Black Ops, and then, oh my god, Advanced Warfare, Infinite Warfare, it just got so ridiculous with the shit they put in it, and you could tell what they were doing is they were trying to cater more to kids. What they wanted to do is they wanted content creators or viral first-person shooter players to stream this game and get kids to watch it, and now kids run out and buy the game. That's what they went for, all right? I feel with this one, that shit was scaled way back. Not all the way back. I wish it was scaled all the way back. But they took out all the fucking cartoony bullshit nonsense. It really feels more like a straightforward first-person military shooter again. For the first time in a long time. Okay? I'm happy about that. I'm able to play this game at length and have fun with it, alright? And in truth, even though I do believe there's bullshit with the quick scoping and all that, and I rage at it, the campaign was good. Was it the best campaign I've ever played in a first-person shooter? No, but it was interesting. It had an ongoing mystery narrative. It had side content you could do, and it had a really cool, interesting twist ending. The game itself has many different modes. Whether you're playing standard multiplayer, whether you're playing Warzone, which is, of course, the Battle Royale mode. That's pretty much exactly the same as last year's, but it's still in there. Or if you're playing the Zombies mode, which I hear is great. I haven't even played the Zombies mode, so I can't even attest to the fact if it's good or not. But I can tell you, if you're looking for value, bang for your buck, holy crap, this game has it. And by the way, I didn't spend any extra money on the game, and I got a bunch of new maps already for free within a couple months of the release of the game, which is really sweet. Now, the one thing that I will say is bullshit, and if you want me to be very honest with you, the one reason this game is actually not higher on my best games of 2020 countdown, it's because the skill-based matchmaking screws up the game, alright? When Treyarch made this game, they said we were going to have skill-based matchmaking in it, and on paper it sounds good. Play a few matches, the game will see how you do, and based on how you do, it'll then put you into a lobby where you're supposed to be playing people of your equivalent skill, alright? Instead of just playing noobs all day, you get to actually play with people who are pretty decent. Makes it a more challenging experience. Makes sense, right? But here's the problem. That's not actually what happens. What happens is you play 2 matches, you dominate, you kick ass. Oh my god, look at the score streak, I got chopper gunner. Then they throw you into a lobby. Sure, the people are ranked higher, but the people all have bad connections to you. because the game doesn't have a centralized server. It's still peer-to-peer bullshit. So when you go to play against these other people that it forces you to play with, because, oh, skill-based matchmaking, the connection dramatically declines. And now you'll have people, you're shooting them 100 times, they won't go down, your bullets are completely ineffective, grenades explode and no one takes any damage. The game becomes a joke. And then you just rage and you lose. And then after you lose 2 matches like that, the skill-based matchmaking kicks you back down to a general lobby where the connections are better again, and now you dominate again. So it's pinballing back and forth between good connection, bad connection, good connection, bad connection. And you can't consistently play this game at length without getting pissed off because the connections keep sinking into the fucking toilet. That's a major flaw, all right? That's a major flaw. They should not have it doing that, all right? They should have it so that you have a consistently good connection no matter what. Okay, you want skill-based matchmaking, that's fine. But match it up with people who have a good connection and are higher rank, not just one or the other. You see what I'm saying? Like, you can't do that. That actually ruins the gameplay experience for me. So, in my opinion, the game is outstanding with the improvements they've made to it, and they removed the gimmicky crap. But the fact that the skill-based matchmaking screws it up makes it that I can only say it's about, you know, number 8 on my countdown of best games of the year. It would probably, I'm not even kidding, would have made top 5 or higher if, I don't know how you get higher than top 5, if it had better matchmaking and better online connections, but they're just not consistent enough, and I have to be honest. Okay? Very good. All right, ladies and gentlemen, that's number 8. Deadly Feet now did a 100-bit cheer. Thank you very much, Deadly Feet, for the cheer. I appreciate that. Okay. Excuse me. That's disgusting. And thank you, Death of a Vestry, for the cheer. I'm not going to read it. All right. Continuing on. My number 7 best game of 2020 is Crash Bandicoot 4. It's About Time. I think a lot of people slept on this game. Maybe it's because people are just tired of platformers. But for someone who recently, in the past 5+ years, played all of the Crash Bandicoot games, all right, and someone who appreciates the classics, but then taking a modern spin on the classics, this game is the best of all worlds. It has the ability to just go through the game and beat it on a casual level, and if you just do that, if you're just going through the game and trying to beat it at a base level, it really doesn't even get challenging to like the last few stages. And even then, yes, the end of the game is incredibly challenging, but it's the very end of the game, that's when it should get challenging, okay? But if you're someone who used to be a completionist in the old school Crash Bandicoot games, and you used to go back and try to get every single fruit, unlock every single gem challenge and all of that, okay? This game is difficult. This game is incredibly challenging. It's got innovative puzzles. It's got innovative combat and platforming. It's got so many new mechanics in this game that were never present in previous Crash Bandicoot games, but feel like they very much fit into the Crash Bandicoot universe. By the way, I should call this out. Take a look. Great graphics, right? Take a look at how beautiful these graphics look. Take him Crash into the modern era. He looks sweet. They did a really good job with that. In addition to that, it's not just Crash. They actually add a bunch of significant new characters to the mix that are pretty interesting, although admittedly, I do feel like the characters may be underutilized. Most of the side characters that you pick, they usually have 1 or 2 stages dedicated just to them, and that's about it. But some of those characters can be very challenging to beat those specific stages that they do have. So I liked that they were in there. It was just added content. The game is full of content. If you're looking for, you know, a full-on challenge and doing all the content in the game, this game is incredibly lengthy. Now, I didn't do that. I basically did the base story, did the side character missions. You didn't have to do them, but I did them all. And, yeah, at first, I was trying to go for a little bit of a completionist run, but when I realized this game was way more difficult to do a completionist run than some of the other Crashes I had played, I personally decided I wasn't going to go for that. It was going to be way too time-consuming, and I just basically tried to enjoy the game for what it was. Even then, the game kicked my butt at the end, all right? But for someone who's a fan of the original games, I think you're really going to like Crash Bandicoot 4. If anything, I think they said the game did not sell very well, and I think the reason being is a few things. Number one, you know, people are not looking really for this style of game in 2020 anymore. You know what I mean? Like, this is a game that, yeah, has a nostalgia factor to it. And when they released the Crash Bandicoot collection, people who were fans of the original Crash jumped on that collection because that was nostalgia. But I think now, people have kind of had that nostalgia kick, and now they're kind of moving on a little bit. And in addition, we all knew that in 2020 we were getting new consoles and everything. So this was kind of like a game that's like, man, I'm saving up for the new console, or, you know, I'm going to drop money on so many games in the next month when PS5 or Xbox Series X comes out. Do I really want to get Crash 4 now or just wait? I feel a lot of people had like this wait and see attitude. And because of that, the game didn't actually sell that well. I thought it was outstanding. Look at this. The graphics are great. Look at these gameplay mechanics that are unique and different from old school Crash, you know? I just really enjoyed it. I hope that you guys enjoyed my playthrough of it. And the fact that I did try to go in there and give it as much of an honest go as I could. I knew I wasn't going to do a completionist run of it. I wasn't good enough at these kind of games to do that. But I really enjoyed the playthrough, and I hope you guys will give it a shot. And one of my top 10 games of the year by far. Like, I liked it that much. I was shocked to hear that not as many people liked it as much as me. I thought that it was just an outstanding game. Maybe I just like the old school platformer style of game. I don't know, but I dug it. Okay? All right. All right, everybody. Whew. All right. So now we're heading in. We're almost in the top 5, but not yet. We're getting there, though. We're now almost at an hour, and we're not even close to the end of my best games of 2020 countdown. I hope that you guys are enjoying it. Okay, guys? All right. We're going to continue on now. Oh, hold on. Fan of Pop, cheers. Are you going to play the Astros Playroom update? 15 to 20 minute quick gameplay if you get a chance. Really fun bonus they added in. This is the first time hearing of it. I don't know. We'll see. Okay. Continuing on with the best games countdown. Ladies and gentlemen. Number 6. I don't think anyone expected to see this on my countdown. I don't think... I'm wearing the same shirt, by the way. Oh, no, I'm not. That's my Fallout shirt. It looks similar to this one. I don't think anyone expected to see this one on my countdown. All right? But I genuinely enjoyed this game so much that I wanted to put it in my top 10 games of the year. And then I started actually rating it against other games. I was like, wait a minute. I actually liked it more than all these other playthroughs. I did. Okay? When I started playing the Tony Hawk 1 and 2 remake or remaster collection, I was getting my ass handed to me. I sucked ass at it. I had only rented Tony Hawk 1 or 2. I couldn't even tell you which one it was. Way back in the day on PlayStation 1. I sucked ass at it. I was no good at Tony Hawk. I didn't know what I was doing. On the fly, had to learn everything about Tony Hawk 1 and 2. And the more I played the collection, I started to understand why people really liked this game and why this game was such a cult classic back in the day. The fact that the game has these unique and different areas, and yes, it's cartoony, admittedly, it's not ultra realistic or anything, but the areas are all unique and fun. The fact that the game has a simple way to play it, but when you actually learn the nuances of the game, right, how to use the alternations of things when you're going up and down the ramps to maintain your combos, maintain your momentum, how it's not just about that, it's about speed, it's about control, it's about combo ability, it's about maneuverability. The fact that in each stage there's so many things to do, it's not just about, oh, get a bunch of points. It's get all these collectibles, find a secret area, get this awesome jump, do this, do that, and it just adds to the replayability of the game, okay? And what's funny is, I know I sucked at it for like the first 80% of the time that I was playing this playthrough. I was terrible at it. But because I stuck with it, all right, by the end of the playthrough, I was able to beat every stage, including the hidden stage at the end of the game, and I was getting incredibly high scores. I got the trophies for beating the high score challenges and stuff because I stuck with it, okay? So that's the thing, and that's, I think, if anything, that's one of the things about Tony Hawk that stands out. If you dedicate yourself to kind of learning it, it's all kind of explanatory. You can figure out exactly what you need to do to succeed at Tony Hawk. And they did a great job with this collection. Look at the graphics. This is a PS1 game running on PS4, and they updated it to look pretty damn modern. It doesn't look like a crappy HD remix upgrade. It actually looks like an original game, you know? Did they add any content or much content to it? Not to my knowledge, but at the same time, they included 2 games for the price of 1 in this collection. In fact, wasn't the collection even cheaper than the price of a new game? I don't think it was $60. I think it was like 50 or something like that, right? And it had all the stages from both the first and the second game, which was outstanding. In my opinion, it was just really well done. And I want to give credit where credit is due because I actually really enjoyed experiencing a game franchise that a lot of people over the years told me about and said, Phil, I can't believe you missed out on Tony Hawk. You know, you're a content creator. We watched you for 10 years and you never played Tony Hawk. I'm like, no. And then I finally got to play it. I was like, dude, this is so fucking good. I really like this collection. Now, the worst part about this being in this situation, guys, the makers of this game is called Vicarious Visions. I'm really angry. Of course, they're owned by Activision Blizzard now, And they decided to tell everyone at Vicarious Visions, you no longer are going to work on games anymore, original games. You're just basically going to work on our own existing projects. So it's very possible people who worked on this collection and worked hard and made an outstanding collection went ahead and now are doing a level design for fucking World of Warcraft, or they're tweaking some background piece of shit in fucking Overwatch. And these people are not going to, you know, be putting out meaningful games anymore. They're just going to basically be like supplemental talent to other projects that Activision works on. And that's not fair, in my opinion. They did a really good job with this collection. This is outstanding what they did, bringing these PS1 games to a modern audience. Again, someone like me who had never really played these games on PS1, I was exposed to the game so much that I basically went through and got everything in every stage and loved it, and I made it one of my favorite games of my year because of that, because I understood how good it was. I don't know why the hell Activision did what they did, because that was a dickhead fucking move. And I'm really angry that Activision will not have these guys go on to make other games, and instead they just got to finish up the work of other dev teams. That's bullshit in my opinion. But anyway, if you've never played Tony Hawk before, don't feel afraid to play the Tony Hawk 1 and 2 collection. It's outstanding. I would say, oh, maybe wait for 3. There's no point. They're not going to make a 3. They're not even making games anymore. So enjoy the Tony Hawk 1 and 2 collection. It's a really well done collection. I enjoyed it. Even not knowing anything about Tony Hawk, I went on to kind of, you know, do really well in it. You can too, and I think you'll have a blast with it. It's a really well done game. Okay? Alrighty. Ladies and gentlemen, finally, we're going to hit the top 5. But before we do, Bugsnax numero uno. Cheers. This is like the previews of the movies waiting for Bugsnax at 1. Someone really wants Bugsnax to be number 1 on my Game of the Year list. I guess we'll see what happens. We're getting into the top 5 now, everybody. Okay. Kula116 has resubscribed to the channel for 2 months in a row. 29 total. Thank you for the long-standing support, Kula. I really appreciate that. Okay.
I need that money. I really do. I need that money.
5 games of the year. Are you ready? My number 5 best game of 2020 is...
Are you a functional retard? I have
Demon's Souls for the PlayStation 5. Yes. This game was really well done. These guys, what are they, Blue Point Games? They took a game that looked like liquid shit on the PlayStation 3. That game, even when it was new, didn't look good. All right, I'm being honest here. It looked rough. It played unique, and that's really where it got its big, you know, push for being a great game. But when you compare it to other great games on PS3, Demon's Souls did not look good, okay? But because of its unique gameplay elements, this game stood the test of time, and then it spawned a whole new series of games in Dark Souls, and of course, From Software went on to do other games like Bloodborne and Sekiro. And when it was announced this was going to be a launch title for PS5, I said, I'm skeptical, but then I saw the graphics, I was like, ooh, wow. And now that you see how the game actually looks, they did a great job, man. And the thing is, they retained the feel of the original game, which is a nice thing. But they added these little touches that made it feel like a new release. The little flourishes and animation and the attacks that you do now are unique. The fact that they added 8-way roll, which absolutely that was a modern thing to do, and it's very glad they did that because only a 4-way roll is so outdated. Having the 8-way roll makes it feel like a more modern game. It was just really well done. And again, if you like Demon's Souls, if you like Dark Souls, if you like anything from Software, you're probably going to say this is probably one of the best games for PS5 right now. And I kind of agree there. At the same time, you know, the reason that this basically isn't higher on my list is because they did not go the extra mile to fix the glaring issues that were part of Demon's Souls. Notably, the online connectivity is absolutely terrible still. They did not improve it at all. Now, listen, I'm not stupid. I know why they did that. Because they wanted to cater to the fanboys. The people who play this fucking game day in, day out. They stream this From Software games nonstop. It's all they do. They do speed runs. They do challenge runs. They do I gotta do the fucking naked dude, naked fists run or whatever. You know what I'm saying? Like, I get it. I understand why they kept it identical to the original. For me, I wanted more. I wanted them to go the extra mile and improve upon it in a better way than just 8-way roll and graphics. I wish that they had fixed the online connectivity and all of that too. However, they just didn't. So, I wish they had improved it. They didn't. Because of that, it's number 5 on my list. It probably would have been top 3 if they had fixed the online play. I'm saying, like, if the online play had been refined and you had a great online experience with this game, I probably would have said top 3 of the year. But because of that, I got to be honest, all right? But undoubtedly, I loved playing it. You guys know I like From Software games. I loved playing it, even though it's really difficult. We all know Demon's Souls is probably, arguably, the most difficult From Software game ever made. I still enjoyed replaying it, and I hope that you guys enjoyed the playthrough. Demon's Souls, outstanding launch title for PS5. Just incredibly well done. Okay. Very nice. Ladies and gentlemen, we're almost done. We're heading into the top 4 now. We're heading into the top 4. What made the top 4? I know you guys are all speculating on what it could be. What are my top 4 games of the year? All right. And I know you guys are going to have a tough time figuring this out. I am too. I did. When I had to do that, it's hard to go through all these games, figure out what are the best games of the year. All right? Are you guys ready for the number 4 best game of 2020? I don't know if you are. I honestly don't know if you're ready for this one. I don't think so. I think people are going to... Here we go. The Dark Pictures Anthology, Little Hope. Yes! This game is my number 4 favorite game of 2020. I didn't think a single person would predict this one. But ladies and gentlemen, if you know anything about me, you know why this is so high on my list. I am a fan of horror movies. I used to watch like every horror movie I could get my hands on when I was younger. I love playing survival horror games, and we're just at a drought at this point of good ones, okay? And with 2020 being a year where there's only a couple survival horror games out there, you know, you look at like Amnesia Rebirth and all of that, nah. But you look at this game, and this game is like synonymous with an interactive horror movie, all right? Great writing, unique and interesting characters, dialogue options that you can affect and change depending on what you pick, right? I loved that about it. The atmosphere was spooky as hell. You had an ongoing mystery. You couldn't figure out what was going on. I had no clue what was going on in this game until the very end. You got the whole time manipulation mechanic where you're seeing people from the past as Puritan characters from the past, yet you're somehow talking with them and your things you say to them interacts with their own plot. It's really unique. Look at the graphics. Very photorealistic. They did a great job with the mocap. The characters all feel believable, and they don't seem obnoxious. I hate to say it, but in choose your own adventure games, a lot of the times you get characters that are just unrealistic and obnoxious as shit. And in this game, I would say the characters were actually more realistic than other games that I've played like this, okay? The game itself lends itself to multiple playthroughs, even though it's relatively short. You can beat it in about 5 hours. You could go back and replay the game multiple times. You could try to get all the characters to survive. You could look for alternate ways to develop the characters and make them say and do different things, which is neat. I really had a blast with this game. And again, I'm the kind of guy, I like this kind of game. Here's why. Stream-wise, this is right up my alley. I can pick my own spin on things. I can speculate about what's going on in a mystery game like this. And I can let you know my own hypothesis of what's going on in the horror plot, right? When there's scares and quick time events, it's funny and fun to see if I'm going to succeed or be, a suspenseful part of the game where I'm going to screw up and get someone killed. I really like this kind of game, and this is like, for me, out of all the horror games I've played like this is the best one. The best writing, the best characters, the best mocap, the best everything. Like, everything about it was great. And I know a lot of people did not like this game, and that's okay if you don't. Maybe you don't like the style of game. Maybe you just didn't like particularly the plot of the game. Well, if you have the right to like the plot of The Last of Us 2, well, I have the right to like fucking Little Hope and say it's one of my favorite games of the year, all right? I just like it that damn much. And I hope that you guys, if you haven't checked out the playthrough yet, if you didn't, give it a look, because so many people hated on it. Or maybe you just weren't thinking that it was going to be a great playthrough. I'm telling you, it was one of the best things I did and played in 2020. I did 2 runs of it. The first run, it was just cold, didn't know what was going to happen. The second run, I went in there knowing what happened the first time and actively tried to make the best decisions to keep everyone alive. I really like this game. If you like my playthroughs of Until Dawn, or Heavy Rain, or Fahrenheit from way back in the day, or what was the last one that they made? Man of Medan. You're going to love this. I actually feel, out of all those playthroughs, I honestly feel this is my favorite playthrough of all of them. That's how much I like this game, and that's why it's ranked number 4 in my favorite games of 2020. I'm probably one of the few people on Earth that said that was one of their favorite games of 2020, but I'm just being honest with you guys. It was that good, okay? Insomniatic Meat has tipped me $5. Says, I love your best series every year, Phil. Keep up the great work. Thank you, Insomniatic Meat, for the tip. I appreciate that. Let's get that up on the leaderboard. Thank you. Up to $32 a tip so far. All right. Also, Ninstar Root again, he said, why do you say Little Hope is long? Because it has replay value, but Hitman 3, which is built on that, is too short. Because just doing the one run through Little Hope, the pacing feels good. Like, I feel that if Little Hope were longer, much like a horror movie that's way too long, it would have felt like it overstayed its welcome. And then you were like, okay, let's go back. Now I know what happened. Let's go back and try to save everyone. In Hitman, it's like, you just want more stages. It doesn't even feel like you did enough in the game for it to be called a game. I'll be honest, I just don't. I feel like there should have been more substance to Hitman 3. But that's my personal opinion and my personal feeling, okay? Mark, oh my god, how do I say this? Mark the Solar Master, resubscribed for 2 months. He said, I watched all your DSP tries. To this day, you're my favorite streamer. Fuck Ninja. Well, I don't know about fucking Ninja, but thank you for the compliment and thank you for the resub. I appreciate that very much. All right. Ladies and gentlemen, Deadly Feet just gifted a sub to OVZ. Congratulations to OVZ. Thank you, Deadly Feet, for the support. Let us now move on. My number 3 best game of 2020 is The Last of Us 2, because everyone says it's the best game. It deserves multiple spots on this countdown. So The Last of Us 2, no, I'm just kidding. It's not The Last of Us 2, but you may be just as shocked at what I picked for number 3. It is Bugsnax. Bugsnax. Goddamn motherfucking Bugsnax is number 3 favorite game of 2020. Can you believe it? I can't believe it. But I'm serious. This is a fucking insanely good game. Alright? When we heard Bugsnax was going to be a launch title for PlayStation 5 and we saw that very first cartoony trailer, we all cringed. We said, what is this? Are you kidding me? This is supposed to be a game we're looking forward to for PS5 where you catch food creatures and when you eat them, your body transforms into the food. This is some silly, stupid, cutesy game for little kids. And man, but then all of a sudden at the very end of that trailer, something ominous happens. The camera darkens and you see some kind of a weird, monstrous creature coming through the forest at you and just a jump scare, and then it kind of ends and you're like, what the hell was that? Like, that was completely out of place for the trailer. I don't even understand what I just saw. And at that moment, and you can quote me, go watch the announcement trailer for PS5 and all the games, and the first time they showed the Bugsnax stuff, I said in that video, I feel this game is going to have some kind of a survival horror twist to it. It's not going to be apparent from the start, but I feel this game is not what it seems, and it's going to be completely different, and it's going to shock everybody. I said it. And I was right. And this game is not for kids. I want to repeat that. Ladies and gentlemen, Bugsnax is not a game for kids. If you have kids play this game, they're going to be terrified by the end of the game. They're going to be crying. They're going to have nightmares. They're going to have post-traumatic stress disorder from playing Bugsnax. This game has adult themes like romantic relationships, like depression, like other mental disorders, societal disorders, things like that in the game. These are adult situations. These are adult plot lines. This is not, a kid will not understand the shit going on in this game. They just won't. They won't understand that there's someone who claims to be a spiritual guru who is actually a hypocrite and is eating all the Bugsnax on the island. They won't understand what that means. You know what I mean? It's that complex of the writing. Every character in this game is imperfect and has their own personal flaws, and you get to know each character through dialogue and doing missions with them, and you get to find out through their interactions with each other, which are very realistic. Like real life, everyone has an issue with everyone. No one gets along. Everyone likes one person but hates another for various reasons. And the society in Bugsnax is very unique in that regard, where you have to try to balance those relationships off of each other to get to know all the characters. And through a series of mini missions of catching Bugsnax and feeding Bugsnax and doing things, you go through this crazy mystery plot line of where is the head researcher that invited you, a reporter, to the island? Why is she missing? What the hell happened to this person? And through the course of the game, as you find all the islanders that are basically different parts of the island, their unique reasons for why they broke up and what happened to this village on the island, it just becomes more and more sinister over time. By the end of the game, there's a giant plot twist. I'm not going to reveal it here because many of you probably never played the game and said, oh, I'm not going to watch Phil play that because that's just a cutesy playthrough for kids. It's not. I'm telling you, if you like a mystery, if you like horror, you're going to like this game. Even as cutesy as it is to catch the silly-looking cutesy Bugsnax, by the end of the game, you're going to be like, huh? Because I certainly was. And the finale of this game is one of the most shocking things I've seen in gaming in years. It's just that crazy. The writing is it's hilarious to me because people are giving awards to a game like The Last of Us 2 saying best writing of the year, best writing of the decade. But then I look at this game like, no, this game actually has better writing than most games in 2020, including The Last of Us 2, objectively. It's the better plot. But no one wants to give this game a shot because they say it looks cutesy and it's for kids. And that's not fair. That's not right. I'm serious. Like, people should be giving more opportunity to games regardless of how they look. All right? And I feel like this game, I don't know what happened, why the clip is paused here. There must be just something with the clip. I don't know. See, the thing, I think I have the ability to fast forward into the clip. Oh, look, I'm updating the leader. You guys can't see it. I had to update the leaderboard. Like a contribution came in or something. That's what it is. I paused it to update the leaderboard. I'm like doing a ton of updates to the leaderboard. Anyway, I really feel this game is the most overlooked and slept on game of 2020. And if more people would play it, they'd be like, holy shit, I want to now give more opportunity to other games that aren't necessarily mainstream AAA games because this game shocked me so much because it's so good. I'm telling you, you're going to have a good time with this game if you like mysteries, you like twist endings, you like horror, you like psychological things going on in a game. That's Bugsnax. Even though it's hidden behind the guise of a cutesy kids game that looks like a combination of Pokemon and something else, you know, it's not. I'm telling you. Yeah, it has those elements in it, absolutely. And if you want to get, like, for like me, I platinum the game. You got to go catch every Bugsnax or whatever. You can absolutely do that. Got to catch them all attitude. But that's not what the game is about. By the end, it's completely the opposite of that, okay? So, Bugsnax, the most shockingly good game of 2020 for me. Like, literally jaw-droppingly shocking me. Okay? And I hope that because I put this into my countdown at such a higher rank that you guys will actually give it a look if you didn't and give it a chance. Even if you don't like it, I think you have to at least respect it's something different they went for. And I hope that you guys will give it a look. Okay? Bugsnax. Alright. Ladies and gentlemen, we are about to delve. We are about to delve into my top 2 games of the year. Now, what I'm going to do, I'm going to talk about both games in chronological order in the order they were released. So, the order is not going to determine what I've chosen for Game of the Year. But I want to tell you why each of these games, in my mind, could very clearly be chosen for Game of the Year 2020. And then I'm going to make my choice for you live on stream. Sound good? Okay. But before we do that, shout out to 99 Hits, who subscribed to the channel. Thank you for the sub, 99 Hits. And shout out to Bugsnax numero uno, who cheered and said, fuck that, Phil. You know Bugsnax was really number 1. Don't let the bullies and trolls change our minds. Hey. Admittedly, as good as Bugsnax was, I do think the following 2 games are better. All right, just being honest. All right? So, let's talk about, in chronological order, the games that are in contention for my pick for Game of the Year. All right? First game, in chronological order, Ghost of Tsushima. All right? A game, story of Jin Sakai, a man who was on track to become a Japanese, a politician, warlord, whatever you want to say. War breaks out in his country when the Mongols invade. Everything gets flipped on its head. All hell breaks loose. And he's trying to live the code of the samurai. But he finds out it doesn't work because this code of the samurai is honorable. The Mongols are not honorable. And trying to fight them with honor doesn't work. You have to resort to underhanded tactics in order to succeed and save your homeland. And the game is gorgeous. Let me tell you, on PS4, one of the best looking games on PS4 I've ever seen. Just look at these graphics. Look at the amount of detail in the grass, in the trees, the wind. The only game I've ever seen with a unique wind mechanic, where the wind is actually your GPS that tells you where to go and how to get places. I've never seen that in a game in my life. Look at that. Unique combat styles. You can play this straightforward like a samurai, head up, challenge everyone, and try to do parries and dodges and combos. Or you could play it completely stealthily. You can decide that you just want to play like Assassin's Creed, and you could go around trying to backstab everyone and do stealth kills with poison and daggers and stuff like that. Now, admittedly, a lot of people said the game is too similar to Assassin's Creed. You know what I say? This game is what Assassin's Creed should have been. Today, when we're looking at Assassin's Creed Valhalla, and it's a game that's 100% action combat, stab them with a spear, and do this and do that, and there's almost no assassinations left to be spoken of. This game is actually what I feel Assassin's Creed should have become. And Assassin's Creed, at some point along the line, decided they wanted to be Witcher 3. So they veered from that formula of being Assassin's Creed to become Witcher 3, and a game like Ghost of Tsushima stood up and said, well, we're just going to one-up what you guys have been doing all along and show you how it's done. The game's locations are unique and gorgeous. You've got beautiful green, lush countrysides, giant, beautiful flower fields, big vistas, awesome gorges and canyons, beautiful seasides, really decrepit places that have been burnt down by the invading Mongols that look terrible. There's a whole northern area of the game that's all snow and ice and stuff. Really unique, really well done in that regard. The story, it's outstanding. The story is well paced. The story is interesting. There's major side characters who you get to know and like over the course of the game. Even though they're not necessarily the best people or the most likable characters, you get to know who they are through their actions and through learning their backstories and through series of missions where you help them out. Some of them have their own intriguing mysteries of what happened, why did someone try to assassinate my whole family, and now can you help me figure this out and stuff like that. I like that. But I also like the fact that the game is flexible. If you want to just play it straight up like a fighting game, combat game, I want to challenge everyone head up and do duels. You could do that. I want to just do parrying and dodging in combat. You could do that. Or you could do ranged combat. Or you could do stealth. I like that there's all this variability in the combat engine of Ghost of Tsushima. Also, the side content of the game is incredibly addicting and fun. Unlike a lot of these open world games that have a million things to do on the map, this game slowly unveils those things to you at a good pace. And I just found myself getting so immersed in this game that as I played it over time, oh my god, there's a fox. Chase the fox to a shrine and get an upgrade. Oh, what the hell is that? There's a hidden shrine at the top of this waterfall. Let's climb up there and get, a special power-up or whatever. Oh, look at that. There's a camp. Let's take over the camp now and kill the Mongols in the camp and do that. And by the way, here's a nice story mission sitting right next to there. And you can organically flow through all the pieces of this game like that and never feel bored. There's plenty of games like Far Cry and the current Assassin's Creeds where I can do all that side content, but I kind of get caught up in the same repetitive shit and I feel bored. That never happened for me in Ghost of Tsushima. Seriously, never. By the way, one of the most well-written endings I've seen in a game in recent years, I mean that. Like, I actually felt that the game, especially because the game gives you a critical choice at the end. I'm not going to spoil any of it. The game gives you a critical choice at the end that comes full circle from all of your choices in the game. And I felt like that was exactly how I wanted the game to end. And it was like a perfect ending and leaves it open-ended for a sequel. So, for me, I thought this was one of the best written games I've played in a very long time. With very few criticisms. Like, honestly, when I'm thinking, I'm trying to think in my head, like, what was the real shortcoming of the game, and it's hard for me to even put my finger on anything major, and it's I would feel like I'd be more nitpicking than anything else. The major criticisms I had of this, that I've heard of this game, I should say, people say it's boring and repetitive. It's too much of the same thing over and over. I never felt that way. I seriously never felt that way. I've played many games like that. Like I said, Far Cry is like the real example of that, where it's so much of the same shit, you get bored over time. I never once felt bad playing this game. I thought that it was outstanding. And by the way, the loading times on PlayStation 4, not PS5, PlayStation 4, the loading times were nearly non-existent. I have no idea how they pulled that off, because no other game developing studio did what Sucker Punch did with this game. Every other game takes forever to load. This game was like, wait 10 seconds, you reloaded the entire fucking world. I don't know how they did it. That's some magic shit. Of course, now all the games run well on PS5 because it's on SSD, a solid state drive, but I don't know how they pulled that shit off on PS4. Okay? So Ghost of Tsushima, beautiful game. The best of all the combat engines you would want slammed into one. essentially what you wish Assassin's Creed had become instead of becoming Witcher 3. Outstanding plot, great side characters, tons of content. It's everything you would want in an excellent game, okay? An excellent open world combat action hybrid game. There you go. So then, what other game in 2020 could even stand up or compare? I just kissed Ghost of Tsushima's butt, right? Well, ladies and gentlemen, there's another game that I feel is just as good as Ghost of Tsushima, and that game is called Yakuza 7. Yakuza 7 blew me away, because Yakuza, up to this point, has been a game franchise where you've wandered through Japan, you know, usually Tokyo, Kamurocho, Tokyo, and you're beating up thugs in the street with a combat engine. You're running around, you're mashing buttons, you're doing combos, you switch combat style, you do another combo, and you do that like, I'm not even kidding, 70% of the game, okay? Now, Yakuza is also known for its robust story. The fact that not only does this game usually have a story that's really well written and very dramatic with twists and turns, but also having a ton of side content. You'll run into the most silly people in the streets of Kamurocho, learn their stories, try to help them out, and by doing that you learn upgrades and you get all kinds of fun stuff unlocked for your characters, okay? But there's always this overwhelming, underlying, very serious, dramatic plot line of a Yakuza kind of a deal going on in the game. So when they announced, after 6 iterations plus Yakuza 0, so technically I guess that would be 7 iterations of Yakuza, that they were going to change the style from being running around and doing action-based combat and turn it into turn-based combat like a typical JRPG like Dragon Quest, I think a lot of people were skeptical. Me, I reserved judgment and said, I'm going to see what they can do with this. I love JRPGs, all right? I love turn-based combat. And if they do something that's robust and interesting, I feel that this could be a really great change for the Yakuza franchise. I'm very happy to say it was. They basically took game engines from games like, oh wow, I actually died in this clip. One of the rare times I actually died in the playthrough, I picked for the clip for the Game of the Year awards. I got my ass beat by a giant piece of meat. It happens. All right. So, they took elements from great JRPG franchises such as Dragon Quest and Final Fantasy. And we're talking, you know, the old school ones. We're not talking the more modernized ones where it's a lot of action-based, but the turn-based combat. And they use things like the job or classes from those games, being able to change the kind of class that you are on the fly and learn new abilities and stuff. And they made it a robust combat system that absolutely 100% worked. The best way I can describe it, you remember South Park: The Stick of Truth? How in that game, they take a bunch of kids, basically LARPing, pretending like they're fantasy characters. And they explain it in very matter-of-fact ways. Oh, the lightning bolt is he's throwing tinfoil at you, right? Oh, the fire is really he's blowing a match at you. Or, oh, it's not really like claws. He's actually got like knives he stole from his mom's kitchen and he's swiping the knives at you, right? Stuff like that. Oh, it's not really ice magic. He has a bucket full of ice and he throws at your legs and freezes your toes. You know, they tried to make it realistic in how magic can actually work or fantasy combat can work in the real life. And that's basically what they did in this game. Look how ridiculous some of these characters are. And the names are like tongue-in-cheek references to characters from other like RPG franchises. And it's hilarious if you played Dragon Quest or Final Fantasy to see those references in this game. It's really well done. And again, the classes are good. The cast of characters, I thought at first it was only going to be the 4 core characters. No, there's other characters, some of which are unlocked naturally through the story, and others that are unlocked as optional characters dependent on side missions that you do that add to the length of the game and actually add to the robustness of the combat of the game, which is really neat. The game has just as much side content, if not more, than the previous Yakuza games. And this game has multiple locations, all of which are pulled from previous Yakuza games, plus a totally new one in the town of Ijincho. So you have Kamurocho plus other locations from Yakuza plus Ijincho, which is really neat. And without spoiling, yes, this game does actually have some ties to the previous Yakuza games. Even though it was advertised as it's going to be a totally new, robust cast of characters, there are actual ties to the previous games. Without spoiling, I'm not going to tell you what they are, but it's really neat when they have it. You're like, wow, if you've played the previous games, this is awesome. But if you haven't, this game is the perfect opportunity for you to jump into the Yakuza series because you don't need to understand any of those references to get the plot of this game, which is really cool. Basically, it's the best of all worlds. Great, robust JRPG combat with a class-based system that has variety because you can switch up those jobs and classes. a unique cast of characters, an amazing amount of side content, and a really awesome open world RPG aspect to it. An amazingly written dramatic storyline, but an incredible amount of fun and meaningful side content as well. This game is absolutely outstanding. I enjoyed every single minute of the 80 hours that I played the game. I mean that. So to the point where I beat the game and I'm still playing it. I'm still playing it because I like it so much. I'm doing all the post-game content. It's that damn good of a game in my opinion. So Yakuza 7. Outstanding game. Incredibly well done. It was definitely a gamble for them to take a franchise that was well known and turn it into a JRPG. But I think that they succeeded on all levels. It's an insanely good game. By the way, it sold incredibly well in Japan to the point where it now looks like Yakuza is going to go crazy. Like, they're probably going to have action-based games, RPG-based games. Like, I think they're going to go crazy and go to town because this is such a profitable franchise for Sega. Pretty much their most profitable franchise at this point, and they're just going to go to town with it. So, that's awesome. Okay, guys. So, all that being said, I have a lot to consider. A lot to consider when I have to pick my game of the year for 2020. All right? Hold on one second because Jay Hale is here to be $10. A good show, Phil. Play Ninja Gaiden Black, by the way, brother. Actually, I started the playthrough of that many years ago. When I did my most difficult games or most annoying rage-causing games marathon, I just never got around to playing it. Blah, 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 blah. How do I decide between two games that I feel were best in class in 2020? Definitely, Yakuza Like a Dragon was the best RPG.
So when I laugh and I go,
and people have actually asked me, out of all the Yakuza games I played, what's my favorite one? Well, it's a tie between the first one I played, Yakuza 4, and Yakuza 7. Okay? Ghost of Tsushima, in my opinion, the best in class open world roaming action-based combat game of 2020. So when you're looking at those two head to head, you know, it's incredibly hard to make a decision between the two because both of them have so many positive things and so few negatives. I enjoyed both games to the point where I played them kind of post-game content to try to platinum them. Like, how do you decide? How do you decide? Well, I'll tell you what you do. You don't. You say it's a tie and you leave it at that. No, I'm not going to do that. That's the ultimate cop-out. I would not do that. I have to pick. I have to pick a winner between these two games, all right? And just so you know, no, it's not going to be, oh, I played Yakuza more recently, so that's the one that I'm going to pick right by default. I'm not doing that. I fully remember my playthrough of Ghost of Tsushima. I remember how much I enjoyed the game, how fun that playthrough was. Hell, during the Ghost of Tsushima playthrough, we were making up haikus together live on the stream. We were making haikus together because we liked the game so much. But during Yakuza, we were talking about Japanese culture and how the game ties into real life stuff in Japan. And I was learning things about Japanese culture for the first time, which was remarkable. That's the true key to a great game. When you have a fun, organic experience on a stream and you're having all these fun interactions that are memorable, not only just for the game, but because of what we talked about during the playthroughs, that's how I know those are the best games of the year. Take a look at everything we talked about during Ghost of Tsushima and Yakuza 7, and then look at what we talked about when we played Last of Us 2, and you tell me what was the better game. Seriously, I mean that. That's really the sign of a robust and interesting game. How enjoyment level of someone who's both playing and watching those games, right? So this is a really tough call for me. This is a really tough call for me. But I got to go with my gut. And I gotta go with my personal preference, all right? And admittedly, the kind of gamer I am, the games that I grew up playing, when it goes to ultimate enjoyment factor, I've gotta go with Yakuza 7 as my game of the year for 2020. I have to. Reason being, even though I think both games are best in class, I think I like JRPG slightly better. I don't actually think it's the quality of the game that has allowed me to pick Yakuza, but the fact that I like JRPGs better. It had to be a subjective decision instead of an objective decision, because on paper, objectively, both Ghost of Tsushima and Yakuza 7 are best in class for 2020. I couldn't tell you that one game is better than the other. They're that fucking good. But when you look at what I personally enjoy more, I think I like JRPGs more than the open world combat. So for that reason alone, I think I have to pick Yakuza 7. Now, there's some people who are very happy with that decision, and some people who are very upset because people were using the wager system on Twitch tonight to wager their channel points. And a lot of people are like, I'm angry, I lost a bunch of channel points. But, wow, 2.2 million channel points wagered and won. Holy crap, that's a lot of channel points, okay? So, ladies and gentlemen, my favorite game, the best game of 2020 in my opinion, was Yakuza 7, but that was insanely narrow between it and Ghost of Tsushima. I really feel it could have been either game, you know, as my pick, but I had to go subjectively instead of objectively, simply because I didn't even know how to make the discerning between the two. Fair enough? All right. Well, Tora Kill just cheered. He did a 300-bit cheer, which is the top cheer of the night. So first of all, let's get him on the leaderboard. He actually says something very meaningful here that I want to read here as part of this video, because I think it actually makes a lot of sense. Ready? 300 bits. He says the following. Yakuza is a yearly franchise now. It's amazing that the quality is still so high. Judgment was released just last year. It's a totally different game, but it's still so good. I completely agree with you. Like, this studio is pumping out hit after hit. And I think it's funny because you used to say Naughty Dog or BioWare or, you know, like we had these game studios. Those were synonymous with greatness. This studio that makes the Yakuza and Judgment games is one of the best studios in the world right now. I don't even care who wants to try to counter me. No, you're full of shit. They're making quality game year after year after year. They're the ones you know you can dip money in, and you're going to get a quality game every single time that you play one of their games. They have not made a bad game yet. So that's pretty damn awesome. Sir Spartan King Judy says that decision cost me 250,000 penne points, and he used the rage face. All right, Bugsnax numero uno cheered. He said a haiku for memories. Bugsnax was the best. I know that you know that, Phil. The list is a fraud. It fit the haiku. That's amazing. It actually fit the haiku. That was pretty damned awesome. Timbo Slice cheered. He said this was rigged like the 2020 presidential election. I demand a recount. Well, that recount will go just as well as the real life one did. So sorry, Timbo. It is what it is. Yakuza 7, game of the year for me, bro. All right, ladies and gentlemen, that is it for my game of the year countdown for 2020. I apologize that it took so long for me to get to it. I hope that you enjoyed this video, and I hope that you enjoyed this live stream. Thank you for your support throughout 2020. It was an amazing gaming year, and here's to another awesome one coming up in 2021. Peace out. All right, folks, that's it, but I still have some extra time. I still have about 15-20 minutes I can chill with you guys. So whatever you guys want to talk about is totally up to you. You know, if you just want to hang out and just discuss stuff or whatever, I would appreciate it, guys. We're at $42 in tips. I would really appreciate it if we get some more. Like I said, these countdown streams, sadly, they didn't even do as well as my gameplay streams, and right now I really need the help with tips. So if you like this stream, please, if you can tip me, I would appreciate it. We just got a cheer. Bugsnax numero uno cheered again. He said, being honest. Oh, here we go. Now he's talking about WWE champions. So he's a piece of shit. You piece of donkey shit. How about this? How about this? WWE champions. All right? WWE champions lives rent-free in your motherfucking head. I don't think about WWE champions. You do. You probably know way more about the fucking game than I ever will, because you're an idiot. You're an obsessed loser. Okay, then. Benzuko Lives just hit me $2 and salty about Doom Eternal, I'm not going to lie. Hey, yeah, but if you watch my Disappointing Games Countdown, you know I really didn't like the game. I really didn't. It felt more like a chore for me to get through that game. I really didn't enjoy it that much. So, you probably figured it wasn't going to be on my list, right? All right. I'm glad to hear that my stream helped you to relax. I'm sorry I didn't get to read your name because your message scrolled so fast I couldn't read it off my screen. Sir Spartan King just cheers. Says, I'm surprised Resident Evil 3 Remake wasn't on either list. All right. Fair enough, and here's why. Because you may ask, why is Resident Evil 3 Remake not on either list? Honestly, the game just didn't really resonate with me in any way. I didn't really dislike it that much, but I didn't really like it that much. You know what I mean? The game just kind of, like, the opposite of that is Resident Evil 2 Remake. That game took a game that was great from back in the day and improved upon it and made it so good and made it a modernized game. It was like really, really good the way they did it. I just felt like Resident Evil 3 was kind of like, it existed, and it was fun, but it wasn't great. It was too short. A lot of people complained because they said that it cut way too much content out of the game. I agree with you. I feel that it was just too short of a game for $60. At the same time, it wasn't like, when I played it, I enjoyed it, except for one boss fight that I raged at. For the rest of it, it was fun. And that's what I mean, like, it didn't really bring anything new to the table. It didn't really resonate as a, oh my god, best in class like Resident Evil 2 did. So for me, like, it doesn't really have any lasting power to maybe even think about it at the end of the year. I'm just being honest here. Jay Hale, to be $21, said, fuck him up, Phil, fuck him up. Wow, thank you, Jay Hale, for the tips tonight. I appreciate this. Let's get that up on the leaderboard. That's the top tip of the night. And that allows us to hit the glasses goal. So I'll put the glasses on. That we're up to $65 in tips right now. Thank you. Excuse me. Dudatron tipped me $1, said, will this hit the tips goal? Well, will it make us hit the tips goal? No, but it gets us 2/3 of the way there, so thank you, Dudatron. Plazat5 tipped me $5, said, thank you for the countdown. You're welcome, Plazat5. Thank you for the tip. That gives us to $71 in tips now. Then Shao Kahn Artist tipped me $10. Thank you, Shao Kahn Artist, for a $10 tip. That gets us up to $81 in tips now. Holy crap. What I'll say, guys, thank you for waiting for the end. I mean that, because, like, I really knew it was going to take a long time to get through that countdown. So I appreciate you guys waiting to the end to do the contribution so that it didn't derail it. Thank you. Dark Shadow Wizard Dragon Cheers says, you forgot to add Kakarot to your list. Again, Dragon Ball Z Kakarot is the same situation as Resident Evil 3. It didn't really resonate. It wasn't a terrible game, but it wasn't a great game. I was hoping it was going to be much better. It just kind of was like, meh, so it doesn't make either list. You know what I'm saying? It doesn't really resonate, make me think about it. Expand Dog says, Animal Crossing didn't even get an honorable mention. Fair enough. I very strongly considered Animal Crossing. And maybe I should have put it as an honorable mention. It definitely wasn't going to make top 10 games of the year, because admittedly, even when I played it, you know, did I like the game? Yes. But it was a chill game. It was a game that was meant to be a time killer. That was not a game that was meant to be, oh my god, it's a robust, unique gameplay experience and I can't live without it. I could have literally never played Animal Crossing and still, you know, it wouldn't have mattered. This was a very different kind of year with COVID, where it was basically a very chill time killer for us. I'll admit I probably should have made it an honorable mention, and now I feel a little bad that I didn't. So I do appreciate that. Gunnar Hansen to me $2 says, what about Animal Crossing? It was a game that came out during the pandemic and helped people forget about what's happening. You're right. Again, it should have been. I 100% will publicly admit I should have made that an honorable mention, and now I kind of feel stupid that I didn't. I definitely should have done that. I don't know why I didn't. It just, you know, me trying to get all this together in the last few days, it skipped my mind. Rogeezy has subscribed to the channel. Thank you, Rogeezy, for the sub. Dalbot is here. He cheers it. Where does Scrat's Nutty Adventure rank? See, here's the thing. If I had actually played Scrat's Nutty Adventure the year it came out, it definitely would have been worst game of the year. I'm serious. That's like the most boring game I've ever seen in my life. But it's an older game. It just so happened to be played during a marathon, so it definitely doesn't rank, you know. Okay. What about Genshin? See, Genshin Impact's kind of unique, because Genshin Impact is such a weird game. It's not really a console game, but it's also not really a mobile game. It just kind of is a game, you know? And is it fun? Yeah, but I don't really feel like I played enough Genshin to really even mention it. Like, seriously, I only played, what, like 4 or 5 streams of it? I didn't get far enough into it to really see, once you get into the story and stuff, like what kind of a game it really would be at a higher level. I just kind of went, I was in the intro segment of it. So I don't really think that I would have even been educated enough to rank it. You know what I mean? Dark Shadow Wizard Dragon Cheers, when are you doing your worst games list? Already did. There is no worst games list. It's the most disappointing games list, and that already came out. I don't do a worst games list. I never have. It's always been most disappointing and the best games. I don't do just a general worst games list. That's a good question. Superflash says, what's Kat's game of the year? I asked her, and I don't think she can decide. She basically loved Ghost of Tsushima and Yakuza 7 equally, and she couldn't even, she says, I can't choose. They're both so good. I had to choose. She didn't. Is there a reason? Tell me why didn't make honorable mention? You know, I guess what you got to think about is, when I'm doing these lists, and especially the honorable mentions, I'm trying to find games that maybe people absolutely wanted to see in my top 10 games and that didn't make it. Those are the kind of games I try to put in there. Tell Me Why was a great game, but I don't think I would consider it a top 10 game. Like, it was a great narrative, but I don't think, like, after I played it, maybe I thought about it twice. You know what I mean? When I played it, I liked it. But after I beat it, I probably thought about it like 2 more times, and that was it. You know what I mean? Well, there's other games that kind of resonate and I think about over and over and compare to other games during the year, and that didn't really happen with Tell Me Why. By the way, Little Hope, way better narrative-based game than Tell Me Why. It just is. Like, I like that game way better. So Little Hope kind of trumped it and took any thoughts of Tell Me Why out of my head, I would say. So Spartan King Cheese says 2021 is going to be a wild in terms of end-of-year countdowns. So many games to look forward to. I agree. Here's what I hope. I really hope they don't release all the games in November and December. Please, of anything. You know, get them all out September, October, November. Give people a chance to finish them so we can actually do like I could do a year-end countdown at the end of the year and not a month later. This was frustrating to me this year that I couldn't do it until so late. It really was. Ninstar Rune Cheers says we need to know the Quiet Man ranks as Alpha and Omega, right? Quiet Man? Oh, it's the best game ever made and the worst game ever made. All at the same time, of course. Stiggy Dinks, Donkey Kong 64 absolutely was my most painful playthrough of last year. That's why I had to. It was a joke that I put on my disappointing games list because obviously it wasn't a game from 2020. But I had to bring it up. That was like pure pain to play and get through that game. 100% pure fucking pain. Darkside Dragon has tipped me $5. Said, hey, I haven't been around recently. I'm wondering when you're going to play the game Maneater. Actually, I have it. Like, look at my screen. I didn't download it yet, but I have the rights to it. And I am planning on possibly playing it this month. The thing is, there's no pressure because I have it. I can play it whenever I want. But I am considering it as like a late night stream or something this month. We'll see how this month goes. If I need more content for late night streams, maybe I'll do it this month. We'll see. Where did I rank Spider-Man Miles Morales? It was in my honorable mentions for Camaro. It was in my honorable mentions. You must have missed it. Cookie Monster says Astro's Playroom. Again, fair enough. Astro's Playroom, probably another game. I really legitimately enjoyed it. It's a free game that came with PS5. So it's probably something I should have mentioned. Even though technically, it's less of a game and more of a tech demo when you really think about it. Like, does it have gameplay elements? Yes. But more of the focus of it is to showcase the haptic feedback of the PlayStation 5 controller, not necessarily showcasing robust gameplay. So it would be hard to really even squeeze it into the countdown anywhere. You know what I mean? Timbo Slice Cheers says this is the best day for Yakuza Game Studios. You give them the honor Game of the Year, and Judgment Day gets a next gen remake. Yeah, although admittedly I think that's kind of silly. So for those who don't know, they just announced this. They said Judgment is going to have a next gen remake on PS5 coming out in April of this year. This year, Judgment is coming out for PS5. That's great. Especially if you have a PS5, you didn't play Judgment, I urge you to. That's an amazingly good game from the same people who made Yakuza 7. It's not turn-based combat, it's action-based combat, but it's a really great detective game. But it's 2 years old. Like, what remaster does it need? How much better, realistically, is Judgment going to play on PS5 versus PS4? You know what I mean? Like, it looked amazing on PS4. It's not gonna run better or look better, right? Nair Sock says, does it feel weird doing clips from when you were younger? Even with the retrospective, not many jobs let you basically look back at your younger self. You know, it's, in my opinion, the retrospectives are very good because they give me a real perspective at who I used to be. And they allow me to see how I've grown, how I've changed. And I watch myself back from 10 years ago and I cringe just like you guys. I cringe at the stuff I used to do. I'm a very different person now. A very different person than the person I was 10 years ago. So many things. I've matured so much. My life has changed completely from the ground up. And, you know, I look at the stuff I used to do and get away with back then. I'm like, dude, I would never even fathom doing that kind of stuff in the modern day. Because I know better, you know. I've grown so much, and I realize the things I say and do have consequences. People can be hurt by the things I say on a stream. You know what I mean? And that's why I wouldn't go as far to do some of those things anymore. But it's always good to look back at the past. And here's why. I've always said this before. This is why I don't go back and I don't remove videos from my past that people make fun of me for or quote, oh, Phil's a hypocrite because 10 years ago he said this. Yes, because we all know 10 years ago Phil's the same as modern Phil, right? But I purposely leave it there, and here's why. Here's why. Simply because I need that money. I really do. I need that money. Ignore the past like it didn't happen and you forget the past, you can't learn from it. If you forget that you made mistakes, you won't be reminded you made those mistakes and remember not to make them again. You know what I'm saying? That's why it's dangerous when I hear about people who say, oh, we want to forget about the real history of slavery and shit in the United States and pretend like it didn't happen and stuff. It's like, what are you talking about? No, no, no. We have to remember the fuck-ups. We have to remember the horrible things we did in our history so that way you can improve as people and not commit the same kind of mistakes in the future. You have to remember the bad things you did so that you don't commit them again. You see? I leave all that shit public because I want to see how bad I was so I know not to be that person again. You understand? And we gotta hide, we gotta remove these books from the reading list for kids and we gotta do this and that. You're out of your mind. That's the shit should stay there forever so that we know where we came from and we can be better. Or else you'll forget all about it. That's my take on it anyway. So. Alright, guys. Any final things? Last few minutes here. I'll stick around for another, 5-10 minutes tops. But then I got to get going. I got to get uploaded. And, I'm off to working on my day off for tomorrow. I got to figure out my meal schedule for the week. I got to get the shopping list together so I can go shopping in the morning and everything. That's correct. Snakefish Gaming says the man who forgets his history is doomed to repeat it. Damn straight. That's a great saying. Timbo Slice Cheers says, I'm sure you're not shocked Google Stadia is shutting down internal game studios. When they announced Google Stadia, we all laughed at the idea, right? So Google Stadia is not shutting down entirely, although do you want my honest opinion? I think they're on the way out anyway. But what Google Stadia announced today is they had an internal game studio. They basically 2 years ago opened it, hired all these game devs, have them working on games. None of the games came out, canceled everything, and just fired everyone, and now the whole thing's off. So Google Stadia is only going to be doing third-party games from now on. So there will still be a service of streaming these games or whatever, but that's it. No more original games coming from Google. They've decided against making the original games. I mean, Amazon did the same thing. They haven't pumped out a single game yet. They have a game studio that just has failed, and canceled every project. It's funny how Google and Amazon thought it was going to be so easy to make games. Oh, we could do that. We're rich, right? We can just do what everyone else does. And they haven't pumped out a single product yet. But anyway, I almost, this is the first sign that obviously they're admitting failure, and I would say within the next 2-3 years, Stadia won't exist anymore. I could be completely wrong, but that's the way I see it going. Yes, we talked about the loss of Dustin and Diamond earlier today. Very sad. Among you, just wrap it up. I need to win pasta. Was there a wager about how long the stream would go? Jeez. The Ryan or Therian 18 says most anticipated games of 2021. The problem is we don't really know what's coming out in 2021. I would say this is pure speculation. I would say the new Horizon game, what's it called? Forbidden West. If God of War 2 comes out, God of War Ragnarok, Resident Evil 8, because now we know it's actually coming out in May, so Resident Evil 8. And outside of that, do we even know what else is coming out this year? I mean that, like, there's the game releases schedule is so weird now because of COVID that it's hard to even say what's coming out in a year. What I really need to do is sit down and start looking at game releases that have concrete dates, but I don't even think there are that many, right? There's really not that much going on. Far Cry 6, well, that got indefinitely delayed. We don't even know when that's coming out, right? Local Nomad just hit me $3. Said, glad you chose Yakuza. Thanks for the fun stream, Phil. Have a nice day off. Thank you, Local Nomad. I appreciate the contribution, and I appreciate the kind words. There you go. $91 in tips, folks. But it looks like that's probably where we're going to end it. Spartan King just cheered. Is there anything for a quick post-countdown show and tell like last time? Oh, no, I don't have any show and tell for tonight. And I don't really, frankly, unlike the last one, which was about an hour long, I don't have time tonight to do it. So, BeastBot has subscribed for 12 months in a row, and now at tier 2. Thank you for a year of support, BeastBot. He says, 1 whole year. Crazy how life was different when I started hopping on your streams. You were with me through the wild ride of 2020, so here's to another year. I know. At this time last year, we were only hearing wild rumblings about some virus over in China that may make it across overseas, and holy shit, what a year it's been, right? All right. Yeah, we basically just have a couple minutes left. If anyone has anything to talk about, last chance. And then we're going to get out of here. Thank you guys so much for the support tonight. Thanks for hanging out with me. Thanks for listening to the countdown. Remember, I'm not here tomorrow. I'm back on Wednesday with hopefully Destruction All-Stars. I hope it really comes out like it's supposed to and I can get it on PS Plus for Wednesday. And then Wednesday night will be some Call of Duty. Okay? Local Nomad says his tip come through is verified. He wants to know. I can check for you. Let's find out. Let's see here. Let's find out. It shows as unverified, but it does shows as registered local nomad. So if you just tried to make a verified account, chances are it's not done yet. But if you thought it was already verified, no, it shows as registered with PayPal, but not fully verified yet, for whatever reason. I don't know why. All right. Yeah, I'm not really seeing much else to talk about. People are spamming the same ridiculous questions and stuff.
I need that money. I really do.
That's true. Dying Light 2 got cut off too, right?
Bills.
Dying Light 2 keeps getting release dates and then getting bumped, and we don't even know if Dying Light 2 is coming out this year. That's what I mean. It's hard. It's really genuinely hard for me to say, oh yeah, there's my games I'm anticipating for this year, because they just keep getting delayed and don't have release dates. Tag 365 cheers that you intend to play Biomutant when it comes out. It now comes out in May. I don't know, man. Biomutant, I don't know. It just gives me the same vibe as like Wasteland 3 and a lot of these other games that seem to be like PC-centric games, and I just don't know if it's going to be any good. You know, I don't feel a vibe from it that feels like it's something that's going to be entertaining. Guess we'll see. All right. Ladies and gentlemen, it looks like that's going to be it for tonight's stream. I want to say thank you. Great streaming week this last week. Thanks for being very patient with me doing my year-end series. Now that they're finally in the bag, I'm happy because we can move on. A few reminders about the coming week. We're going to mix it up. So Wednesday, it's the Destruction All-Stars and Call of Duty. Thursday, it's Assassin's Creed Valhalla and post-game of Yakuza 7. Friday, it's Immortals, Phoenix Rising, and Street Fighter. Saturday, it's my retrospective marathon event. We're going to go down memory lane and look back at all those moments you guys nominated. There's going to be a live... I didn't do that. Sorry, guys. All right, everyone. Have a good night. See you Wednesday. Later. Dead air. Goodbye.